my channel. I am Maricita Colors.
Hello, my dear friends of Maricita Colors in English. Today, I will show you how to save a Purl stitch in knitting. In my last video, I showed you how to save a knit stitch. But it's important that you know how to save a Purl stitch too. Look, my thread is like this. This is the front, where is the knit stitch. I must have careful for that the stitches are not out of my needle. You can save your stitch like knit stitch too. But it's important that you know the two chains that you have for save your thread. Here I use a hook for catch the stitch. So, now we will learn how to save a Purl stitch in knitting. First, we must recognize where is the stitch. We must make it straight. The stitch is important. Here you can see this yarn are the rows. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 rows, 10 yarns. I must pass every yarn into this stitch for recover our Purl stitch. So here is the stitch. For this I help me with my hook and my fingers. First I pass the first yarn into the front. After this, I catch the stitch from the back to the front, and this yarn of the row we must pass from the front to the back. So, I enter for the back of the stitch and we bring the yarn. And here I save one Purl stitch of this row. So, now I pull a little the stitch, pass the yarn into the front of the next row. I catch the stitch from the back to the front, and the stitch must be straight. And with my fingers I help me for pass this yarn of this row from the front to the back. And here you can see the Purl stitch. Again, I pull the stitch, the yarn I pass into the front, I catch the stitch from the back to the front, and with my fingers I help me and I pass this yarn of this row into this stitch. So, only you must pass the yarn of every row into the front, we must recognize the yarns of every row. And from the back to the front I pass into the stitch, and with my fingers I help me, and this yarn must pass into the stitch. And here we form the Purl stitch. So now only I must repeat the same. here I am in the last yarn of the last row. From the back to the front we pass and we bring the yarn. I pass the stitch recovered, and here I look that the yarn is of the next stitch. So from the back to the front I pass the yarn into the stitch, and ready. We recover these two stitches. Here I turn because I must make the knit stitch, because I show you how to recover the stitches with the purl stitch. Here I turn and you can see the stitches. So now we learn how to recover a purl stitch. Before I finish this pattern, I want to invite you to subscribe here in my channel, Maricita Colors in English. It's total free. Remember, activate the bell for that you receive the post when I have a new video in my channel. YouTube make this automatic. Thank you very much to all the persons that share my video, give one like and comment. We see us until my next crochet or knitting pattern. Ciao, ciao!